Models are remaining persistent and showing the possibility of multiple winter storms in the coming days. This comes as a jet stream is expected to remain very active from the north, allowing for cooler air to make a dynamic weather setup. This video has all the details on that active weather pattern that is on the way, including your latest chances for snowfall.
One Nation Weather.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day to tune into this video. As always, I greatly appreciate you being here. One quick reminder that the awesome weather model maps that I use in my videos, they are from Weatherbell. There's a free trial link to them below in the description of this video for you to check out if you are interested in getting those for yourself. Also, here's one other quick reminder. If you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel and you want more consistent, accurate, and educational forecast updates in the future, consider subscribing to this channel on YouTube for free down below if you enjoy the rest of this video. But let's go ahead and jump right into this video by taking a look at the temperature anomalies forecasted by the European ensemble member averages as we go into the week ahead. And I'm really going to show you how these temperature anomalies play into the pattern that we're seeing all week long across the USA. And as we start off this week, going out of our Monday, December 2nd and into our Tuesday, December 3rd, the pattern looks the same, and it is really the same for the eastern half of the country that it has been for quite a while now, with a huge dip in the jet stream making its way as far south as Florida. Temperatures are 10 to 15 to 20 degrees below average across basically all of this region as we kick off the work week. Meanwhile, Monday and Tuesday are going to have the exact opposite effect if you make your way out into the western half of the country as well as into the high plains. You can see based on those red colors out there, even into the Rockies, temperatures 10, 15, 20 degrees above normal. And it's that area of above normal air that's actually going to briefly try to make its way east as we go out of our Tuesday afternoon into our Wednesday morning, and then by the Wednesday midday time frame. You can see this is as we go towards 12, 1, 2 o'clock into our Wednesday afternoon. If you're east of that line that I just drew, still hanging on to some of that cooler than average air there in the east, but we've got a nudge of some warmer than average air making its way into the Midwest ahead of this next cool down to the north of that line. So envision we've got some cool air, we've got some warm air sliding in between it and the next cool down. When you've got cool and warm air interacting in a manner like that, you tend to get a storm system. In this case, it's going to be a clipper making its way through especially the northern half of the country Wednesday into Thursday and Friday. By the time we go out of our Thursday into Friday, where we could even maybe see some snow down towards the I-95 corridor in the northeast and mid-Atlantic, look at this. By our Friday morning, we're looking at another surge of cooler than average air, 10, 15, 20 degree below average temperatures for most of the eastern U.S. This is courtesy of that clipper system that's expected to move through and drag a cold front over the entirety of this region. Once we get behind that first clipper, whatever can make its way through this cooler than average air that lasts through the weekend would certainly have a fair chance at bringing some snow, maybe even a bit further south. So that's something that we'll have to watch for, and that's a signal that I talked about even in the last video. Beyond that point, though, even as we go towards mid-December, it looks like a clash between warmer and cooler air a lot of the time. Clashes tend to mean storm systems, so it could be very active for quite a while here. Let's go ahead and track the near-term active weather pattern through at least this week, using the averages of our GFS ensemble members here into this future radar depiction. Starting off as we kick off this week, there's really no disagreement in any sort of models in what's going to be going on by this point. Dry air, lots of high pressure indicated by those H's here making their way down through the central and eastern U.S. But with that being said, maybe a little bit of snow making its way out of the Midwest into some parts of the southern Appalachians from late Monday into Tuesday, and especially, of course, some snow up there in our lake effect zones that I talked about a couple videos ago. The upper peninsula of Michigan, west central parts of the Gulf of Michigan, and then down there northeast Ohio, parts of Pennsylvania, New York. Those usual lake effect trouble spots, feeling the effects of that early this week, but then other areas in the north central and Great Lakes regions will begin to feel the effects of our next storm. This is that clipper that's going to reinforce our cool air later this week. As we go out of our late Tuesday and into our Wednesday, December 4th of 2024, the ensembles are indicating mostly light snow based on those light blues out there in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and then into parts of Michigan. But up there in the upper peninsula of Michigan, it could be a little bit heavier in terms of those snow totals, and it could be a quick, heavy accumulation with even some gustier winds up there. Something to certainly keep an eye on. The lake effect will likely continue into those zones with this clipper as it makes its way east into our Thursday, December 5th in the early morning. This clipper is really a prime snow setup, and even if you were looking at something like the European model or its ensembles, it shows a very similar setup as I talked about last time. You can see here it's looking like even into our Thursday morning, some light snow wrapping around through parts of Michigan and into Ohio as well as West Virginia. But this late week cool down clipper will already have enough cool air to work with as you make your way here into the New England states as well as the rest of the interior northeast that we could see snow even pushing towards coastal parts of our northeast U.S. states. That includes southern parts of New York, maybe around New York City. I'll talk more about the details on this particular system with a breakdown in just a moment, but you can also see the southern end of the system. Ensemble confidence is rising in some rain into some parts of the mid-south regions. That can include Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, maybe even with some thunder getting in the mix. That'd be sometime late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then from here, that is where we begin to see model spread increasing. Now, these GFS ensembles are pretty keen in showing a second storm, or at least the signal for that as we go out of our Friday, December 6th and towards our Saturday, December 7th. But models and ensembles that surround the European say not so much to what I'm showing you on your screen right here. So this is something that I'm going to have to pinpoint more with videos as we go throughout the rest of this upcoming week. But it looks like some point as we got to Friday the 6th and into December 7th, which is a Saturday, we could maybe see some rain down in the southeast U.S., quickly transitioning up to snow as you go up the Appalachians and then into the Ohio Valley and Northeast. Again, if the second clipper falls in around this time frame, it's only a couple days behind that other one that left the cool air in place. So if this GFS ensemble picture comes true and there's at least some form of weak system moving through this area, it could certainly involve snow that's even a bit further south than the first clipper brought snowfall. And then from there, this is all La La Land, December 8th, 9th, and 10th. The reason I show you this picture, though, is because all ensembles, even though they just show some light colors indicating high spread, high uncertainty, and where systems could be, they're showing lots of greens and blues in various areas, and that includes the Europeans as we go towards the middle of December, and that means a likely very active weather pattern is expected to continue. But I'll have plenty of time to track out those longer range storms. Let's talk more in detail for the next few minutes about the near-term clipper that we're going to see as we go through, especially Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Snow totals from now through that time frame indicating, other than a light accumulation, maybe somewhere in the Midwest Monday into Tuesday as you make your way down to the southern Appalachians, most of our snow that we're going to see as we go through the week ahead is generally indeed going to come with that clipper system Wednesday into Thursday up here over the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes and Northeast. Now, if you see any of those pinks on the screen, that's where we're likely going to see mostly the lake effect all week long, and then the clipper just adds on a little bit of totals on top of that. But some of those blues up there in the Arrowhead of Minnesota, then jumping down here into some parts of central Michigan, and then picking back up into the interior Northeast. You see those areas, that's where there's decent confidence from not only the GFS ensembles, but also models like the Euro for at least 3 to 6 inches of snow to fall with the clipper here later in the week. And then also as you push down there towards those southern New England cities, even towards the I-95 corridor from Portland, Maine down to Boston, Massachusetts, back to New York City, points in between, we could at least see some measurable snowfall of 1 inch to 3 inches, maybe even a bit more, depending on how models go as we get closer to this storm. Stay tuned for all the latest updates from me as we do get closer to that. But here we go. This storm is definitely going to bring in the wind, especially as you get behind whatever band of precip you have as we go out of our Wednesday and into our Thursday. Let's start here with our Wednesday evening. Look at these wind gusts projected in those green colors coming out of the Dakotas into Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. That's a northwest to southeast wind flow coming straight in from Canada, so you know that's going to be downright cold making its way into these regions. That plume of the gustiest wind is going to make its way through the Great Lakes and then over into the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and southern New England by the time we go into our Thursday, with whatever snowflakes we see maybe falling as far south as that I-95 corridor in southern New England. It could also be messy because of these winds Thursday into the afternoon especially. Look at these gusts pushing over some parts of the central Appalachians even higher than this, but most spots in Ohio, Pennsylvania, surrounding states, 30, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. And once we get short range guidance in, that could even show some higher gusts being possible. So if you get a wind advisory later this week, or maybe even a high wind warning, make sure you're staying tuned to your latest National Weather Service alerts, and those will help you know whether you need to tie down loose outdoor objects, etc. By Friday here, you can see that overall the winds are dying down, but we've still got some gustier winds, especially towards the east coast, and then from there we'll have to watch that next storm signal that I'll briefly break down here in just a moment. One other thing I wanted to quickly talk about, though, even though the focus of this video is not specifically on temperatures, since I've done that a lot in the last few, I do want to talk about the feels-like temperatures that are on the way down into the country as we end this week. Starting Wednesday morning before the clipper, lots of spots from the Midwest to the East Coast, 10 to 24 it feels like in the morning. That seems very cold, and it is still below average in a lot of cases, but overall, as I've been mentioning, we do need this clipper to make its way through because warm air is trying to fight its way in from the west, and in this case, here it comes, recovering the trough in the eastern U.S. and bringing the temperatures well below average, especially as you make your way on up into the Midwest and Great Lakes Thursday morning. Look at this, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. feels like temperatures below zero anywhere from Montana all the way down as far southeast as Indiana and Michigan. That's very dangerous. Remember to protect people, pipes, and pets. Those are the main things to be concerned about this time of the year. By Friday morning, as far south as Georgia and the Carolinas, 10 to 20 for a feels like temperature, and it's even colder, more like 0 to 10 as you make your way up the Appalachian chain. But now that I've talked about that reinforced cool air coming in behind the Clipper that's guaranteed some point Wednesday into Thursday, let's talk about the one that's not so guaranteed, this signal that I've talked about now in the last video and this one. Notice high snow chances anywhere out of the Great Lakes and into the Northeast with the first Clipper late this week. But here we go, a lower confidence storm with about a 30 to 50% chance right now of bringing snow beginning some point late Friday going into our Saturday. Here's that signal that I talked about in the last video, and it still exists. Looks like this Clipper, if it does form, would initially be in the same areas that our first one from just a couple days prior had been, making its way through parts of the upper Midwest and then down here into the Great Lakes, maybe in as far south as central Indiana and central Ohio with at least some chance of snow as it shifts southeast. You can see that really builds as we go overnight Friday through our Saturday and then into our Sunday, December 8th. And then this is where things get interesting. If this storm can get its act together, which these GFS ensembles are showing at least about a 50% chance into the Northeast U.S. that it will by around that Saturday to Sunday timeframe of the upcoming weekend, it looks like it's going to be in that cool air left behind from our first Clipper, and that could mean that the snow lines even further south, maybe a better chance of accumulations towards New York City and even as far south as Baltimore, Maryland, for say. But this storm has to exist for that to happen, so I'll keep you updated on especially the details on that longer range system in my next several videos. But for now, here's that recap on everything that's coming through the next several days. First of all, a notable early season Clipper is on the way as we go through the middle to the back half of this week, out of Wednesday towards Thursday. The Great Lakes and Northeast, especially feeling the impacts from the snow of that. Behind it, reinforced cold air for many, and that's especially going to be prominent for a longer time in anomaly form east of the Mississippi River. With that cold air in place, a second Clipper is possible, and that could bring a snow line even a bit further south around December 6th through 9th. Either way, I'll keep you updated on that and the active pattern that looks like it's going to continue for weeks. And of course, you'll catch all those updates if you hit that subscribe button. It's looking real appetizing down below. Hit that subscribe button for more consistent, accurate, and educational forecast updates in the future. I hope you really enjoyed this one and didn't find it too confusing. Leave a comment down below letting me know where you're watching from and if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next update video, which I intend to be Tuesday.
One nation weather.